So this is lesson 12, equations of tangent lines. And again, you should have already watched this video on eMath instruction. We skipped lesson 11, and that was constructing tangent lines. I know some of you didn't have a compass, which is why I skipped it. But this sort of ties together what we learned in a previous unit with writing equations of lines, and now we're writing equations of tangent lines, because now we know what tangent lines are. So lesson 11 just sort of reviews for us that tangent lines are perpendicular to that radius. So keep that in mind. What we're actually doing here is we're writing an equation of a perpendicular line. So remember, perpendicular lines, their slopes are negative reciprocals. So if I have line segment AB, I'm going to find the slope of line segment AB. Slope is just the change in y over the change in x. Now my perpendicular line is a negative reciprocal, so I take that 3/2 and I flip it, which is 2/3, and I change the sign. And to write an equation of a line, that was my point slope form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So my slope is negative 2/3 from right here. And I want to write an equation that passes through point B. So to write an equation of a line, you need two things, a point and a slope. My point is going to be point B, which is 3/6, and my slope is going to be that perpendicular slope, negative 2/3. So all I'm doing is plugging that in. Now this essentially is my answer, y minus 6 equals negative 2/3 x minus 3. I do have to simplify it though, but only because they're asking me what the y-intercept of the line is. To find the y-intercept, I have to get it in standard form, which means I'm distributing this negative 2/3 to everything inside the parentheses, and I'm getting y by itself by adding 6, so then I have my y-intercept right there. Okay, so and then we're just going to do that with circles. I'm writing an equation. I have a circle right here. I'm writing the equation of the circle. It has its center at 0, 0, so it's just x squared plus y squared. I can see that my radius, I just count right here, my radius is 5. And I want to find the slope of AB. So when I have points A and I have point B, I can find the slope. And I want to write an equation of the line in point slope form that is line M. So line M, since it's a tangent line, it's perpendicular to AB. So since I know the slope of AB is 3/4, my perpendicular slope is negative 4/3. And the only point I have on line M is point B. So I'm using point B, which is 4/3, and I'm using the slope, which is the perpendicular slope, negative 4/3, and I'm plugging it in. The way to see that if it has a y-intercept of 8, I have my equation of the line, and I put it in standard, I want to put it in y equals mx plus b form. And once I do that, so I'm distributing this negative 4/3 to everything inside the parentheses, I can see that my y-intercept is close to 8, but it's not 8. My y-intercept is 8.5, so my answer is no. All right, and then this is just some more practice with that. Again, you should have watched the videos. I just wanted to make sure that I did a quick overview for you. And this is answers for lesson 12 homework. So this first one, I have a circle, which is x squared plus y squared equals 45. And it's graphed along with the 0.63 right here. They want me to find the slope of the line segment connecting the origin to the 0.63. So I'm finding basically the slope right here of this radius that I have drawn. And my slope is 1/2, change in y over change in x. And then they want me to draw that tangent line to the circle at 6,3 using a negative reciprocal slope. So if the slope of that radius is 1/2, my perpendicular slope is negative 2 over 1. So all I did from this point is I went down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. The opposite, of course, is to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And you can see I did that. You can see the blue dots. And then I can connect those dots, and I have my line right here. They want to know what the y-intercept is. So graphically, it's nice and easy to see. I just kept going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, until I finally intercepted the y-axis, and I intercept the y-axis at 15. Number 2 is a multiple choice question. I have my circle, and if the tangent to the circle was drawn at the point negative 3, 4, then what would its slope be? So basically I'm finding the slope of the radius, and then my perpendicular slope will be positive 3/4. Diameter of a circle has these endpoints. Which of the following is the slope of the tangent line drawn to the circle at point B? So I found the slope of the diameter, and that's going to be 3, 1, and then the perpendicular slope will be negative 1/3. So the key to all of this is remembering that a tangent is perpendicular to a radius, or it's perpendicular to a diameter at that point of tangency. And perpendicular slopes are negative reciprocals. Question 4, I have a circle. The center is at 2, 5. It passes through the point 10, 3. Determine the equation of the circle. So basically, the first thing to write an equation of a circle, I need the center, which I actually have the center already, 2, 5, but I also need a radius. So I'm going to find the length of the radius. I know this is a center and I know this is a point, so I'm using my distance formula right here, right? X minus x, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And I find the length of the radius. So the radius is the square root of 68. And I square that, because remember, when I go to write my equation of the circle, the number on the right here is the radius squared. So this is my center. My center is positive 2, positive 5. So when I write my equation, it's x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals the radius squared. Since the radius was the square root of 68, the radius squared, when I square root of 68, my radius squared is actually 68. So this right here is the equation of that line. Next, I want to write the equation of the tangent line to the circle at the point 10, 3. I'm finding the slope of my radius. So my slope of my radius, change in y over the change in x. And I did that from my points right here, 2, 5, and 10, 3. My slope is negative 1/4. My perpendicular slope, then I'm going to flip it and change the sign. So my perpendicular slope is positive 4, because I took this and I flipped it and I made it a positive. And then I'm doing it through the point 10, 3. So when I write an equation of a line, I need two things: a slope, which I have, and the point is 10, 3. And all I'm doing is plugging it into my equation of a line formula. See how the slope went right here, and my point 10, 3 went here and here. This next one, I want to see if this point lies on the circle. So I'm just taking it, I'm plugging in 7 for x, and I'm plugging in 8 for y, and I'm testing it out. And it is true. I just simplify everything, and as long as the left side equals the right side, then yes, it does. Then I'm going to find the center and the radius of the circle. So this is a review from what we did the day before. I'm completing the square in order to put it in standard form. Half of negative 4 is negative 2 squared is positive 4. Remember, whatever I add to the left, I need to add to the right. And then I'm doing the same thing with y squared plus 8y. I'm going to take half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Whatever I add to the left, I add to the right. I add these all up and I get 169. This now is a trinomial that I can factor. It's a perfect square. It's x minus 2 squared. And this is a trinomial that I can factor. It's y plus 4 squared. So my center is positive 2, negative 4. And this is the radius squared. So my radius is 13. And I want to find the equation of the tangent line to the circle at 7, 8. So I find my slope of my radius, change in y over change in x. My slope is 12 over 5. I need a perpendicular slope. My perpendicular slope is negative 5/12. And then I'm using that point, 7, 8, and my perpendicular slope of negative 5/12. And I'm just plugging it into the equation of a line right there. And then this last point, there are 2 points on the circle at which the slope of the tangent line is undefined. What are they? Explain your answers. So basically, I have that center of the circle, 2, negative 4. And my radius was 13 right here, so I went 13 in this direction and 13 in this direction. And you can see the coordinates of those points then, and the leftmost point is -11, -4.